direct from the beautiful Inland Blue Studios. Honey, this is the Nerdlife Crisis podcast with your host, that fine-ass Chris Thayer, that beautiful Steve Hale, and that big hunker chunk of meat, Ron Milts. Woo! Mama's hot up in here. Let's get this party started.
All right, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdlife Crisis podcast. Here with your host today,
Chris Thayer,
Steve Hale,
and I'm Ron Milts. We are back, guys.
Hello, friends.
I know, right?
We've missed you.
Like we've seen each other all on different separate occasions, but we just haven't recorded in a while.
We've been having some adventures.
We have. We definitely have.
Right.
It's been an adventurous time. So I know we had plotted out to try and record a couple different times, and shit just got in the way. You know, car breaking down here and there. Mm-hmm. I got sick. We had an anniversary. Then the wife overruled any recording on one night. So
they tend to do that.
They will. It's amazing how
the enemies of fun.
Well, and it's amazing how you go any other day, you're just like, hey, babe, I'm going to record tonight or on Thursday. And she's like, okay. And for whatever reason, she was gone on our anniversary. And I'm all, hey, we're going to record Tuesday night. And she's like, no, you're not. And I'm all, I'm sorry. And she's like, we're hanging out Tuesday. I'm like, we are? And she's like, well, it's our anniversary, smart guy. And I was like,
yes.
Oh, no. You got to start remembering that, dude.
No. But I was like, no. Our anniversary was Saturday. She goes, yeah, but I had work on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I had the same damn thing happen, dude. So we were supposed to go on our anniversary to Disneyland, and she's got class. I'm like, you can't miss a night of class to go. It's our anniversary. Like every year up to this point, it's like that day is sacred. But because it's her shit, now it's not sacred. So it's like we had to go a day or two later.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel your pain. I just know that, and then it was like, so I actually retroactively punked her because she was like, we're hanging out for our anniversary. I was like, oh, is somebody watching Ron? And she goes, no, we're going to bring him with us. I was like, oh, okay. So I doubled up and invited my mom to come out with us. So, because it was also her birthday right around the same time. And I was like, hey, why don't we? And then she's like, wait a minute, you invited your mom? I go, yeah, and I invited my dad and my stepmom and my sister too. And she's like, it's like, that is not an anniversary dinner. And I go, well, you were bringing Ronald Andrew. I just was trying to help. So I literally killed like 6 birds with one stone. It was fantastic. Anniversaries, 2 birthdays. It was the most well played night ever. So.
We had to postpone our wedding by a couple of months. I don't even remember the reason anymore. But she still brings that up from time to time. She'll be like, you know what today would have been?
Oh, no.
What's that? Just fucking with me. I'm like, I don't know what. It's like May something. I don't know. We would have been married today. Oh, well, fuck me.
Do you know the only way I knew it was our anniversary is Facebook reminded me on a picture of what I did a year ago. It's not like we don't celebrate shit like that at our house. I know it seems weird, but like she was gone all day. She got up and left before I even woke up that morning. Well, that's not true. I think I was out the door at like 7 doing stuff, but it's just weird. It's like we like Valentine's Day, don't celebrate. Nah. Mother's Day.
See, that's technically the day that we went on our very first date.
Oh, wow.
Was Valentine's Day.
Ultra convenient.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, 2 birds with 1 stone type of thing. And
right.
It was a total accident. It was just like, I've been talking to her on the phone, and she's like, hey, are you gonna take me out sometime? And I was like, well, how about like this fucking Friday or whatever, smart ass? And it just so happened to be Valentine's. I wasn't even thinking about it then. I mean, I didn't think she would make it past that weekend.
Right.
So.
Right.
It's just so funny when you think about it now, especially because it's like we have too many days to remember. We have our first date. We have the first time we met, and then we have our first official date, which was actually like our 5th time hanging out.
Oh, no.
Wait. It gets better. We have that would have been our original anniversary. Then we broke up for like a time, and it was like, so our second anniversary is like later in the year.
Oh,
crap. Yeah. So then that's like September 4th. And then we have our day we officially got married, which is actually March 12th. And then we have our day that we had the ceremony, which is
You celebrating all that?
I celebrate none of it.
Okay, I was going to say.
There's just days of importance.
That's the whole point of getting married, so you don't have to celebrate all that other shit.
Well, this is like my wife's witch calendar. I mean, there's like some sort of fucking holiday every 72 hours.
Yeah, and it's like, but here's the thing. These days come and go every year, and I'm the only one that remembers 90% of them. Right. And it's like, for the longest time, my wife has such a bad memory when it comes to dates that she had to create a mnemonic device to remember my fucking birthday.
Oh wow.
Because she was so embarrassed when she had to go pick up stuff from the pharmacy for me one time because she had to play the fucking match game with the pharmacist because she's all, I have an order for a medication pickup for Ron Milts, and the guy's like, okay, I just need his birthday, and she's all, is it in the spring?
Wow.
And the guy she said the guy looked at her and she's like, I'm gonna say either March or April, and the guy's like, really? She's like, I know we're married, but is it April? And she's like spouting off it literally was like she was playing the game where she's like,
Am I getting warm? Give me something. Come on. I'm dying up here. Give me something.
So she literally had to call me and be like, what year were you born? She's like, I think we finally got it narrowed down to April 13th. And I'm all, he has the information. And she's like, yeah, but he can't tell me. I'd be picking up illegal drugs,
Right.
So, yeah, but that is my wife right there.
See, I luck out because my wife and my daughter's birthday are the same day.
What?
Yep. Sid's birthday and Jen's birthday are on August 28th.
You're doing this right.
Yeah.
Dude, you think you got it right.
But the thing is with CVS, they're like, her birthday, and I'm like, June 28th, 1976-ish? How old is she again? I'm like, I was 74. Okay, 76. There you go.
My daughter Lauren's got it figured out. She's dating a guy. His birthday is Christmas Day.
Oh, that's the worst. That poor guy.
For him,
you know what?
For her, it's great. One gift.
I seen that. I had a friend whose her birthday was the 23rd or something like that. And she just was like,
rip off.
She's like, I could never have a birthday party because nobody's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would get gifts, it was always a combined thing. I've never had a birthday and a Christmas gift,
That's when you say, my birthday's now in March.
Yeah, I would just like, you know what? I'm giving myself a new fucking date.
I feel like that girl's deserving of like a Sally Struthers commercial where she's like, poor Janet here. It only gets one gift a year.
Oh, speaking of, so real quick, dumb shit my kids say, we'll just jump to that. We go to Bass Pro. We're getting ready for our little adventure with Ron and Elena here.
Oh, yeah. For those of our listeners, because we haven't been on Steve went whitewater rafting for the first time.
Which was totally awesome.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to do it again.
Well, the rafting 2.0, the search for bigger water, is already being pushed into effect.
Man.
So we're looking at August, I think.
Adventure boner.
It was definitely a good time. The water, I mean, it's adventurous when 3 people drown on the river you're rafting on.
Let me tell you, as soon as I got back from this trip, that's all I heard about. Hey, was everybody in your party okay? Yeah, why? Like, dude, 3 people died up there while you guys were there. No shit.
Well, and let's be honest. One guy died of a heart attack because the water was cold.
What?
He fell in the water.
Cold. I thought it felt great.
I thought it felt great. Okay, so we get there, and these fucking people are like, "Oh man, you're gonna need a wetsuit." And I'm like, "Well, I've been in the ocean before in the winter time. Is it colder than 50 degrees or?" And they're like, "It's cold." And I'm like, okay. And I've got we've got some hefty people on the trip, and then you got people like Steve, who's just like, I don't want to wear a wetsuit. I'm not.
They
interested.
didn't have one small enough for me.
Right.
I was like, they were like, this is extra small. I said, smaller.
Right.
I want it small, man. Like I said, have you ever seen Namor? I just want a little tight.
I really wanted to see the curvature of his balls is what I was looking for.
He's out looking.
But yeah,
for the spice,
they were saying it was pretty cold. It was not frigid.
I do
but
I would say that water was probably at the coldest 48, maybe 49. It was like if you've
felt fucking great.
It did because it was 90 degrees outside,
Right.
And so all the wives are wearing wetsuits on the second day, and they're all complaining at lunchtime. And Steve and I are like, ha ha ha.
And they can't even take them off now because there's nowhere to put them.
No,
it's like, you got it. It's yours.
But so they're determined to give us wetsuits. It was I felt like I was well, they wanted to put me in foam. We used to never go with helmets. I'm glad this trip, helmets were definitely necessary.
Makes sense.
This water's moving at 12 to 13 miles an hour. You're flying. And it was some of the biggest waves on this river that I've seen, on some of these rapids where you're just coming down into a 12-foot wave drop, Yeah,
there were a couple of points where me and Ron were at the front of the boat and we go up and we're coming down and I'm like, holy shit, we're coming down, dude.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, bitches. Like, they took pictures and, like, Ron and I just disappeared, dude, underneath
We
this
hit
water,
this wave,
dude.
and it was like there was one point where Steve and I where it was the very second to last rapid of the day, and we come up and it was like we crested over this big like wave, and then we come back down, and the guide's like, you know, forward, and like so we're paddling through the next bump, and we hit it. And the front of our boat was underwater.
Right.
And Steve disappeared.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, just be there when we come back.
Right.
Because he was gone. And I was up to my neck, and the whole front of the boat was gone. And Steve was
Right.
underwater. And Steve was like, I grew another toe.
My feet were gripping that fucking. They were going through my sandals, gripping that boat. But that was where I was leading to. I went to Bass Pro to get these sandals that Ron recommended to
Right.
me, and I had my boys with us, and you know, Bass Pro's got all these toy guns and shit, and they want new guns. I'm like, you guys have like 24 guns. You have so many toys up there. Like, we're gonna go ahead and donate these toys to kids who don't have toys. And they're like, oh, they don't have any shotguns? No, they don't have any shotguns. And they go, oh, they don't have any pistols? No, son, no pistols. Well, they don't have any crowbars? I said, you're playing Half-Life 2. I know what the hell you're doing. No crowbars. The fucking, how old are you? 4 years old? I didn't teach him that one. The crowbar thing didn't come from me, man. So, yeah, that was my, like, what the hell are you talking about?
Nice.
Story about my kids, and that was on our getting ready for our little adventure there.
Yeah.
So
But it was a good time, man. We all got a little bit of sun, you know.
I was great.
A little bit of camping.
I had a great time, dude. It was so good.
I wish your back wasn't fucked up,
Dude,
man.
not at all interested in any of that.
Really?
No.
I told Jen that if she comes up pregnant and it's a girl, we're gonna name her River. Word up.
I kept threatening to make a river baby the whole time we were there, and when I got up to bed, somebody was passed out. So
Right.
that was the dumb shit my wife did weekend with the fucking pump for that stupid. Well, both of us pumped for our air mattresses. Luckily, like,
Oh yeah, I brought the pump. No the batteries were dead.
and then we brought a brand new pump that's literally sitting right there behind you that did not get brought with us. It was sitting in the car. So
You know what
Blowing
though?
up your mattress.
For me though, like every time I do one of these adventures, or like every time I hike a mountain, I learn something.
Right.
I go, I fucked something up, and I've learned my lesson.
Right.
So,
Well, and I think I got Steve addicted enough. There's an adventure that I've always wanted to do that you would definitely not be interested in. It's a 3-day rafting trip. You hike in 2.5 miles. You backpack all your shit in. You get there, and they've already brought the boats in and the food for you, the guides. And then you raft for fucking 3 days. And so you're back, like, all your shit comes down the river with you. So you basically bring, like, your tent and what have you, and you just raft for 3 days straight. And it's like, dude, 24 miles.
I can't
rafting.
wait, dude.
Yes. It's like,
I
that
look
is.
forward to hearing
He's
about
talking.
it.
He's talking about this like next summer, and I'm
Yes.
like, let's start planning
now.
about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's how excited
It is
I am
not
about
cheap.
it, dude.
It is like $800 for this trip, but it is like I have an adventure Woody right now, so it was good times. Well, let's actually talk about some nerd stuff now that we're
All
done
right.
with the rafting podcast here. I think we have to start with something bad before we get to something good.
Okay.
Only because I've got some negativity built up for me because I just saw this movie. So Alien Covenant came out recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot to say about this film, but I don't want to dominate because I'm going to shit all over it in about 3 minutes from now. But we all saw this movie, and from a franchise that had some highs and some lows, what'd you guys think about this one?
Chris.
I think it was amazing that you had a movie with only 2 aliens in it. Like, it looked like... I don't even know where to start with this.
Well, they did have the albino fleshlight, like that one as well.
Well, let's start with. I think we all agree that it's not really Alien Covenant.
No.
That it is David
Right,
Covenant.
right.
This is part 2 to Prometheus,
without question.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a 100% part 2 to that movie. You only get a glimpse of David in the preview, and it shows everything else.
Right.
But he's the star.
He
of
is.
that
It
movie.
is absolutely revolves around him from the opening scene.
Yeah.
So much so that they said, God, we like David so much, we're gonna make another android that looks just like him, change his voice, and call him
Walter.
He'll be less fun.
yes.
But he'll have a southern accent for some unapparent reason,
right.
you guys.
They gotta mix it up, right?
So you can tell them apart.
Wow, of course.
That's really, I can't think of any other reason.
They had different haircuts,
So
too.
Oh,
if you're going into this movie expecting to see a lot of
no.
a alien xenomorph,
No.
you are not going to see that in this movie.
And almost, I think the other thing is, if you've seen any of the single alien attack alien movies prior to this, you've basically seen everything that's in this movie.
Right. I didn't feel like there was anything new aside from his workshop.
I thought his workshop and like the little baby xenomorph when it came out with the way the arms folded and all, like all that was interesting.
Yeah.
But it was like none of
the movie's worth.
Yeah, but none of the kills were overly interesting.
No.
Well, okay, when the little
The fleshlight or
the fleshlights when they cracked out of their human host was
when it exploded out her spine. That was
it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, we haven't seen that before.
But
but
we didn't spend enough. Like if it was the movie about the alien fleshlights attacking, like if you haven't seen it, they literally have these other types of xenomorphs that have no faces. They're just like a penis, a white penis on top of their head that run around and they fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And if it was just about them, I think I would have been okay. Like if it was these things attacking everywhere. But the alien. Nothing about the alien was earned in that movie. And I literally went back and watched all of those movies in the last 6 weeks in preparation for this one. And fuck, man.
It was a bit of a letdown. When your 11-year-old goes to this movie and says, yeah, that wasn't really scary at all. Then, that gives you an idea.
I think, and don't you feel like the twists and the turns were so basically when
obvious.
they got off the planet. Second off, I still have no idea how the second alien got on the ship or where the fucking second alien came from.
it was the sergeant at arms. He got impregnated. Remember, it got on his face.
Oh, but was that long enough?
You know what? It's the one thing with the movies, movie after movie, the gestation period has gotten faster and faster and faster. And why? Because the audience these days, it has to come at you at the speed of sound.
That's the thing. It's like, remember the first one, you were
because I had to ask myself, too, it's like, where the fuck did he come from? Oh, that's right.
And then how did it grow so quickly?
Exactly. The gestation period has gone faster and faster and faster in every movie.
You start out with fucking spores, and 10 minutes later, you got full-grown, fleshlights.
It brings me to, the first thing I'm thinking of when I'm watching that is going back to Aliens.
Right.
And Sergeant Apon is saying, don't touch anything.
Right.
And here you got these fucking people who go, you know what? We're not going to that planet anymore. We're just going to go to this one because we heard some radio sound. So, you know what?
Yeah,
let's jump on.
John Denver, it must be okay.
I had to agree with the one chick. She's like, we've been planning this one planet for quite a long time.
It would be like the equivalent of you, Steve, going, we're going to go hike this mountain that we've been planning for. And you're like, but there's a mountain right here that we could stop at.
Guys, we're going to go to Mount Rubidoux. And the next thing you know, I'm taking you to the fucking top of San Gorgonio. They're going, what the fuck, man? I mean, this was like...
It's even more than that. It's like you're going to go to a mountain in the Amazon somewhere.
You know what? I
have no idea what
I have a better idea.
Is.
Let's go fucking hike Everest.
Right.
Right? I've got my shoes. I'm ready to go. I mean, so they fucking get to this planet, and all of a sudden they're just like, dude, we're blasting down there, man.
Right.
Well, who knows what the fuck is down there? And then you land, and you're just like, hey, man, I'm just going to fucking... I'm getting some water samples and shit. It's like, whoa, let's slow down here.
We've watched way too many episodes of Star Trek on this movie where nobody's in any sort of suit.
Right.
Like, nothing's protected.
Yeah, they just opened the door. They were like,
yeah,
smells okay to me.
Yeah, looks safe here. It's breathable.
They're like, wow, look at that's wheat. Like, that's your only fucking concern right now?
Well, and then they're like, there's no life forms on this planet. And I'm all, at that point, I'd be like, let's get the fuck back in the boat.
Right.
and get-
Right.
Something's wrong.
Something's not right. We gotta get out of here.
Like, I wouldn't like, let's investigate. I'm like, you're not a military vessel. You're a goddamn, like, you're like a Carnival cruise in
You guys
space.
got a couple of M4s that you put some extra tack rails on.
Right, just to make them look spacey.
Right. What happened? What happened? I mean, you used to make like
Lazy. It's just lazy
it
now.
is lazy, man.
It's everybody, because it basically, like, the gunsmith shows up and he's like, they designed something, but none of it has any futuristic appeal to it. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, look at the
Yeah, but it's
pulse
supposed to be
rifles.
past, right?
Look at the no. This is supposed like we haven't even.
it's our future.
Yeah, but it's past in the Alien franchise.
Yeah, but okay, the pulse.
I mean, I could show you weapons that we have today that
Right.
look nothing like
Right.
what our current armed forces are using. So it's like when you see the pulse rifles and you go, okay, that looks like some futuristic shit here.
Well, and especially
You know?
like you think like it's supposed to be like essentially like a high caliber round.
Right.
That they're carrying like in a very small amount of space. They're carrying like essentially 100 rounds on these things, you know?
Yeah.
And they're firing it like at such a high rate that it has no kickback as well, which is
Right.
either like the pulse rifles are badass, you know? And you think about like the fucking like they're walking around the Marines with their what you call it? Their you know, they got
The heavies.
Yeah, the two heavies.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I can buy into all this shit being futuristic.
Right.
And then it's like you watch this Alien Covenant and you're like, first off, why do they like if they're on an exploration mission, why do they have all this weaponry?
Well, you should probably always have that stuff.
Well, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's like it goes back to that concept of guns in space. Like, why do I necessarily need guns in space? Essentially,
Me, I would think of when you hit the planet,
sure.
the wildlife, not just xenomorphs, but I'm talking about just general
Anything.
like bears or
Yeah.
space wolves or some shit like that. You
Right.
know, I mean, sure, you're gonna want to have something for that.
Here's what absolutely killed me. When you're watching the movie and after the shit goes down and literally they breathe the air and it's like the spores attack, fucking kill two of the guys and turn into the fleshlight monsters. They're inside that temple and there's like the water fountain. And this girl just is like drinking the water,
Right.
like cleaning her face.
I'm just gonna wash up.
And I'm all, you fucking just saw two people from some pathogen. Like, are you the dumbest goddamn person on the planet? On this planet, apparently, yes. But it's like, none of it made so much of it was completely fucking unearned.
Yeah.
And it was like, we pissed off for an hour looking at space.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, we're traveling through space, guys. And I'm like, cool. Like, if you want to make the story about that,
2001 Space Odyssey.
yeah, but it
for
was
the
like
first hour.
you spent a lot of time introducing a lot of characters that I really only cared about 3 of them by the end of it. And
You know what? Danny McBride didn't one time say "tongue fuck my butthole," and I was waiting and I was waiting.
and then how did the fucking cast from Pineapple Express end up in a goddamn Ridley Scott alien film?
Right.
Like, how is it that the original captain is James Franco, who has like 2 seconds of
I
screen time?
gotta tell you, somebody had to tell me who that was. I didn't even realize that was James Franco. I was like,
it's pretty subtle.
a little bit.
Well, they go back and they show a little bit of video
Right.
footage of him on the side of a mountain, but I'm like,
I feel like there was stuff that was cut from that film.
yeah,
with
it's
him.
like do we have a dispute with a contract or something here? Did
Like
we
I-
pull out of this for a reason?
I feel like they were trying to play a joke on us where it was like him and Billy Crudup and they were going to be like the stars of the film.
Right.
It was almost like Ridley Scott was like, no one will see this coming. And I'm like, yeah, if they've never seen Alien before, no one will. I would have been more surprised if Danny McBride was the last fucking person alive.
Right.
Like out of everybody. Like make the movie about him, give it a
Excuse me.
comedic tilt, and let's have some fucking fun blowing shit up, you know?
Right.
And instead what we got was, and we got a sequel to Prometheus that was not even the part of the Prometheus sequel that I would have found interesting or was promised.
I mean, here we've got this architect race
Yeah.
that you just rolled up and you virus bombed them,
Right. Right.
and that was it.
It was over in like
What?
seconds.
What were they doing? Well, we'll never know now.
And not only that, but it's like the first movie was all about these questions of the universe.
Right.
Creator and creation. And you basically have this lineage that even in the new movie you basically have, and we introduced that at the beginning where it's like David and Wayland, like hanging out. And so that idea of creator and creation, and at a point when the creation does not respect the creator anymore. And we basically touched upon that. But any thought of dealing with that with the engineers, which is kind of the thing I was looking forward to for this movie, wiped out in a flashback that was less than 35 seconds, you know? And it was like, what the hell? Like,
what was the point of that?
Yeah.
Well, everything from the gestation period to this.
Rushed.
To even when they got back on the main ship, they're like, I got a plan for this alien. Boy, we got that worked out in a fucking heartbeat where it took Sigourney Weaver all goddamn movie and her entire crew.
Yeah, they were like, grab some guns, we're going to blow it out the airlock.
Yeah.
And you're like,
that's simple.
Okay.
Right.
Like, apparently we can do that now. Like, I just, it was like, every bit of it was rushed. And they didn't take, and they were on that planet for less than 8 hours. And think about that. In less than fucking 8 hours, we had 2 full-grown xenomorphs appear, 2 fleshlight monsters. Now, and I can get behind the fleshlight monsters being faster because we've already established that in Prometheus, that it was like when there was no scene in Prometheus that was or in this current movie that was as unsettling as the C-section moment in fucking Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
Like that shit was making me squirm. That whole section of the movie.
Right.
Like, and that movie, it's like people shit on that movie because, the circular thing is falling down and Charlize Theron can't run left or right. And I can get behind that as well.
Right.
But it's like, at least the monster scares were scary.
Yeah.
This one, I was like, I wasn't afraid of anything. Like, there was no point when I was worried for anybody. And, like, the only thing that... And I don't know if it was an intentional or not, but the only thing that was unsettling to me was David, the android.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was a good, decent villain as far as things go. But I just feel like he was a villain in a movie that wasn't a very good movie.
And for me, it was the one part that I did like about the movie was David. And it goes back to my whole, like, I do not trust AI at all. And we keep touching on this. Ultron, David, Terminator, Skynet. They're gonna think we're a virus, man, and they gotta eradicate us.
It's like reoccurring too,
like,
right?
we shouldn't be treading down this fucking road, man. Like, they do not like us.
No.
So,
And then,
but I think he's a good actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a phenomenal actor, and he did his job in this movie. I just don't think the rest of the movie was there. I don't think the story was there. I don't think
the problem.
I think it was very rushed these days.
Well, don't you think this, like, basically, if you think about it, like, act structure, the first act is them on the ship, and that's an hour. And the movie's 2 hours and, like, 10 minutes long.
Is it really that?
They're an hour before they hit planetfall.
Wow.
And that opening sequence was, like, 10 minutes. And I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, that was fine, but it was like you're literally an hour before you hit the planet, and the movie isn't about that first hour. It's about everything that happens on the planet.
Yeah.
So literally, you in a movie that ends up really feeling about as long as an episode of Game of Thrones, without half the story that an episode of Game of Thrones has.
Yeah.
And when you think about, when you really get down to the compartmentalized version of that movie, it's like they hit the planet, shit is infected in the first 5 minutes they're down there.
Right.
Like, they are not exploring for very long. The David shows up and is like, follow me, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna follow you. That seems like a good idea.
Right.
Like, okay, sure. And then it's like the minute we get inside the temple, like, is it safe? Yeah, it's safe. Yeah, I'm gonna trust this guy for sure. The guy I just met. Let's all wander around the fucking temple now.
Yeah.
Or hey, you just saw me trying to communicate with an alien, and I got mad that you shot the thing that's been killing all you fuckers. But come here and follow me to my chamber here,
right.
and go by that egg thing.
Just took one of your fucking crew members apart,
right?
Decapitated
your crew member. I didn't do anything about it.
And then I gotta tell you, dude, let's risk. What was on that ship?
40,000.
Was it 2,000? I thought it was more. Let's risk 2,000 lives
to save 3 people.
I gotta tell you, man,
that was just stupid.
I gotta tell you. We wouldn't have, it was not believable.
Well, and especially, like, no offense to, like, I get the concept of, like, everybody that was on the ship was couples, but why would the command crew be that way as well? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, here
you're
like, we don't even allow that in my day job. Like, if we have somebody in my department that is going to help somebody else in another, they're not, and they're married, and we've had this problem, she doesn't get to help him. I have to help him.
Because it immediately creates conflict.
It's a conflict of interest.
Yes.
There's all kinds of things.
For instance, like, I'm the captain of the ship, and I'm going to risk all the other fucking people on the ship to go down and get my wife and friends.
Right.
No offense, I love you guys, but if I'm the captain of that ship, I'd been like, well, shit went wrong.
I
cannot risk everybody else.
I think of
here.
Lawrence. Did you guys see Event Horizon?
Oh, yeah.
And when Lawrence Fishburne was telling his story, and they're like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "I shut the door." Mm-hmm. I shut the door, and I left him behind.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had to do. I had to save. And we're just talking about the guys in the escape pod.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about 2,000 people in this ship. It was ridiculous.
Well, the only person that got it right was the fucking first girl. When the guy's like, he split blood on her, and you're like, that's contamination.
Right.
You're on lockdown.
Yeah.
She's like, open the door, and she's like, I can't.
Right.
I can't open the door.
Right.
You know? And not only that, if the guy's like that, like, if shit's going down like that, he ain't coming on my ship.
Yeah.
Like, that's our only way on and off this fucker? Like, no.
Yeah.
No. Like, oh, God, there was just...
A lot of problems with it.
Like, so many.
Problems.
So disappointing that... Because I had, like... Honestly, I was like, oh, Ridley Scott, I got high hopes for this.
Yeah.
Like, and now at this point, I'm like, I just think this Alien franchise, I think it's tapped out. I don't know that there's anything left to give.
I think they should have gone with another Sigourney Weaver movie. I think everybody would be totally happy if they did another Sigourney Weaver movie.
You know, they were talking about that
The
Neil
Alien 5,
Neil
yeah.
Blomkamp. Is that his last name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The District 9 guy.
Yeah. Doing a version of it, and apparently that whole thing is just completely
It's dead now.
Dead now.
They're talking District 10 is his next movie now.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
So
here's the thing. What satisfying movie has there really been in the Alien franchise? Because look, for what they are, I enjoyed the shit out of both the Alien Predator movies. Like, they were fine. I enjoyed them. They were like bad popcorn movies.
Right, they are.
Okay.
for me, and it's what I said about the Transformer movies. Like, I want to see Xenomorph versus Predator. I don't care about the insignificant and weaker human race. Okay, we've already established that.
Right.
They get their asses kicked wholesale.
Right.
I don't care anymore. I want to see these two bad motherfuckers duking it out, dude.
But when you reach that point of storytelling, like, what stories are there left to tell with those Xenomorphs?
I mean, at this point, I just want to see battle.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, what can they do with another Alien movie? What, another
ship?
Another heroine
Yeah.
making it through and losing the rest of her crew.
Plus,
You're right. It's been done.
A
It's been
regular
done.
city.
they did that with Alien Predator.
Alien Predator.
Requiem. So, it just
I would love to see the Xenomorphs in a regular American city.
It would. First off, it ruins the timeline if you do that. You can't. And the aliens are gonna win. Like, by definition, they're gonna win.
Maybe.
I mean, as even Bishop points out, they're a superior species.
Yeah, in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, they're built for this.
Right.
They're a perfect killing machine.
But I think at a
I'd be okay with that ending.
I think on a grander scale, though, I think, and we've talked about this a little. I think one of the things we're learning, and we've talked about this on the podcast, is I don't need prequels to questions I don't need answered.
Yeah.
And the aliens came from, I never needed to know that.
No.
And
I
like,
was fine with it.
Yeah, them just being like a creature that came about through nature was fine by me.
Yeah, there's no reason for...
I was fine with the original Alien with the derelict ship.
Yeah.
With the mystery. I like a mystery still. We've talked about it a million times before. I don't need to be spoon-fed this prequel crap, dude.
It's midichlorians. And it's like, as much as I'm not like Chris, where like I rail at the fucking prequels, the one thing in the prequels that I never really got behind, and actually it came out in the books before the movies, was this concept of like something in the Jedi's blood that makes him different, And the minute you start to do that and you science it up and you turn it into midichlorians, like, I don't need to know that about the Force.
Right.
It can just be a mysterious fucking power that makes
I'm with it.
people magical wizards. Like, it's a MacGuffin.
Just like mutants. I don't need to know how they became mutated.
No.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let's transition off a bad movie to a fucking great movie. So, Logan has come out on Blu-ray. and they released a black and white version.
Oh, okay.
Holy shit!
So,
dude.
Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so I saw that it was the black and white version, and I thought, oh, this could be cool. And I put it up on Facebook. I just wanted to know, it seemed like it was a cool concept. But then I watched it, and I got about 3-4 minutes in, and I'm like, this is the fucking greatest ever.
Really?
It is so much better. To the point where I don't even want to watch the color version at this point, because my kids were watching it yesterday or 2 days ago, and I'm watching it and going, that scene looks so much cooler in black and white.
Yeah.
Like all of the cool dramatic moments in the
Yeah.
black and white version, completely thrown away when you put color on it. It was a totally different film, and so much darker.
Sure.
Such a darker film.
Well, they did that with The Walking Dead the first season.
Exactly.
And I actually liked it. There were people who were like, oh, I didn't like it. I was like,
How do you not like that?
For me, it's throwing it back to my favorite of Night of the Living Dead, which
Right.
I have seen. I've fucking seen that movie more times than I've seen Star Wars. I'll tell you what, dude. So much so that when I finally, I had to watch it on a little black and white TV when I was a kid.
Right.
When I finally saw it on a color TV, I was like, oh, that's a black and white movie? I didn't even know,
That's funny.
So I prefer it like that, and I will definitely have to check out Logan
Dude,
like
buy
this.
it. They've got the 3-disc set right now. It's DVD, Blu-ray, and digital. And it comes with a third disc that's the black and white. And I honestly, I don't ever want to watch it again in color.
Well, I don't know
It
if you guys
was
are
that much
aware
better.
of this or not, but they have released it on Warner Home Video VHS.
What? That's funny as hell.
Yeah, it's just a cool picture. I'll put it on our page for you guys out there to
Such
see.
a great
Such a cool
movie.
box cover.
I'm really, really blown away by how much I love that film.
I'm telling
Even
you,
the
man.
Second time, it was
Like
just
I
better.
walked out of that movie going, "This is my fucking movie," and I think it's still going to come down as my movie of the year.
Right.
I think-
Easily.
I think Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart both deserve nominations for this
At
movie.
least.
Damn,
I think
yeah.
it'll get nominated for Best Picture.
I hope so, man.
Like it's
so
one of those
deserved.
movies. Like when you watch it, it's like Fury Road, where you're like, "This is fucking really good."
Like this is different. This is something. We're watching something other than your run of the mill action hero
Right.
superhero movie.
Superhero.
So
well, and it's like,
that's how I felt with the whole thing.
But don't you feel like? And I mean, I know you can go back and we have a previous podcast where we literally just talk about this movie. But I just made the wife watch it. She hadn't seen it yet. She's blown away by it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she likes those X-Men movies. Like it's one of the few superhero movies I can get her out to.
Yeah.
That and the next movie we're going to talk about. But it's like she was blown away by it. She's like, I'm shocked. She told me, she was like, I'm shocked you like this because it's so dark and fucking depressing.
Well, in that moment at the end,
See the VHS box cover.
it's
That's great, dude. I love
where
it.
she takes the cross
Yeah,
and
yeah.
turns it on the side. It's such a fucking beautiful moment. And when you see it in black and white, it just, oh my God, I cannot recommend it highly enough.
So
you
Logan-
have to get the black and white, the Noir.
Logan in black and white. The Logan is it called Logan. And now does it come
Logan
in like
Noir.
a second?
It's what it is you've got the Blu-ray, the DVD, and the digital, and it comes with the third disc. That's
The black and
Noir.
white one.
Yeah.
Well, some of these-
look for it. You get it on Amazon.
There's a few things that have come out in black and white in the last few years, and that's really why I wanted to talk about this. That a few things on the list that if you haven't checked out, it's worth checking out. Like if you're into sort of like older monster movies or sort of film noir, like I think like for instance Logan would be the first one, but The Mist in black and white. If you've never seen that,
I have
is-
not seen it in black and white.
It's
that.
phenomenal.
I love the movie.
And Frank Darabont, when they made the movie, wanted to release it in black and white originally. And all the monster stuff, like if you have, it harkens back to a 1950s like alien attack film. It has that feeling to it, dude.
What do you
Especially
think
with
of
the
them?
spiders and all?
What do you
Ooh.
think of them doing the series on Spike?
I haven't seen
Seen a preview.
a preview yet.
Yeah,
How's it
seen-
look?
It looks interesting. It's fucking it's sparked my
Your interest?
interest in
Okay.
it for
I mean,
sure.
I'll give it a go because the Frank Darabont movie is so important to me in so many different ways because it's to me it's like some people are always taken out of left field by the ending. They're like it came out of nowhere and I'm like no, the whole fucking movie led to that moment.
Right.
And that choice that you had to make and the question you got to ask yourself is like as a viewer I go what choice would I have made in that
Yeah.
moment? Like, am I going to sit here and suffer, or am I going to go out on my own terms?
And already knowing what you know.
Right. There's
Right?
no exit out of this.
Like, you've seen what's going to happen to you.
And it ain't good.
Oh, fuck no, it ain't.
And we've
I mean, it's bad in every goddamn
and
way.
we fought, and it's like, we haven't given up until this point, but I'm not going to sit here and watch my child suffer, you know?
Right.
But the only difference for me is the Thomas Jane character, I probably would have killed myself even after the military showed up, you know, after all that I had been through.
Yeah.
There's like no coming back from that. But it's, to me, that's what makes that movie fucking brilliant. Like everything else, like everybody's loss of humanity and like the fucking crazy religious people, like everything that goes along with that. Like when everyone that goes, oh, that ending came out of nowhere, I'm all, no, like you don't get it. That
Right.
the whole movie was about the ending.
Yeah.
It was about that. Like all the rest of it, you think it's just a dumb monster movie, but it's not. So that's a great black and white version of something.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
Go back if you get a chance. They did the first season of The Walking Dead in black and white.
Yep.
Can you find it for sale?
It's available. It's out there.
You know what? I'm gonna look online right now.
It's out there. So I have digital copies of it.
Oh,
So I can give them to you if you want
that
at some
would be
point.
wonderful.
But go back and watch the first season of The Walking Dead in black and white. Fantastic.
Yep, I
You
did.
know?
When they released it, I watched it.
Yeah.
I
I thought
missed
it was
the
awesome.
first one, and I didn't want to do it unless I watched the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they never played it again. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, God damn.
They only did the 6 episodes, so
Yeah.
it's not like you
They
can't.
should do all of them. To be honest with you,
I don't think the rest of them
I
translate.
I don't think it went over very well. I think they were just like, It's like when they did all the prequels in like 3D and nobody gave a shit.
I gave a shit.
They did for what, 1 and 2, and I don't think they did 3.
And that's because of Disney. Disney stepped. That's when they had 3 ready to go, and then
Yeah.
Disney stepped in and was like, actually they had 2 ready to go, and Disney stepped in and was like, we're not releasing those.
Right.
So because for me, I have the Blu-ray, and my TV it'll take anything and put it into 3D, like any Blu-ray, and so it's not an actual 3D, but the opening of episode 3 in even the crappy 3D is fucking phenomenal, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you saw it in the theaters in 3D.
I did not.
I did. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like something that I would go see again, like right now. But you know, we saw it at the ArcLight too on the big like parabolic screen. Phenomenal. So you know, but not every movie's designed for 3D. So yeah, there's a couple of good black and white things out there. Check them out, you guys, if you get a chance. If you're into that sort of thing, some modern stuff that's come out in black and white, and there's some others too. Not everything works in black and white.
Maximize those fucking those box sets, people.
You can
Watch
find
all
the
that
Road
shit.
Warrior, Fury Road in black and white as well.
Yes.
Which is pretty fucking phenomenal as well. But that's a movie to me that
I think that just comes in the regular HD version.
it does.
I've got that.
It's another one.
I'll have to look at that.
He wanted to release it in black and white, and the studio's like, no.
I think that
Hey,
was probably a smart move.
Dude, fucking Mel Brooks, dude, he had to fight tooth and nail to make Young Frankenstein in
Yeah.
black and white. I think there was something else he wanted to do in black and white, and they just weren't having it.
Well, that one made sense in black and white.
Right. I mean, it's the whole genre of the whole Frankenstein thing, but you know, and especially at that time,
Right.
you know, I mean, we're like, dude, you know, we've come all this way to put shit in color. We don't
Right,
fucking
you know,
make a
like,
black and
we're
white
not
movie.
gonna do
What the
that.
fuck,
That's
dude?
stupid.
Nobody's gonna come see this stupid movie. Well, you know,
Right.
Well,
So-
who knew that movie would be so fucking brilliant at this point? Like when you go back and you watch that by the way, it just showed up on Netflix. You can try and watch Young Frankenstein on Netflix,
I
and it's
own
like,
it a couple times, I think.
yeah, well, we own it on DVD, so
Right.
it's like it's been watched many times.
You know,
in
it's
this
fucking
house.
crazy. Is a friend of mine in Chicago just went and saw it on the big screen. They had, I think it was like an anniversary showing, and like Mel Brooks was there, and it's like,
so
and it's like
great.
you're thinking to yourself, like, fuck, dude,
He's like 90,
you are still alive, like everybody else is gone,
right? Right.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck,
Reiner.
dude.
Well, they keep talking about Spaceballs 2, and I'm like, you better get that shit made soon, or it ain't gonna happen. You know,
Right.
They're done.
like you ain't got much time to be
Yeah,
wasting on this.
shit,
You know.
man.
It's kind of funny because every time we talk about Young Frankenstein, my wife, who is a theater teacher, and before she knew anything what the hell she was doing, one of her first shows she did as a high school theater teacher was she did an adaptation of Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah,
And she did it in black and white, like on stage. So all the sets, all the costume, and all the makeup was designed to be black and white.
okay, that's cool.
So everybody was in like super white makeup.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so she had all these Mexican kids in white face. But and all the clothes were like grays and black and white with no
Yeah.
color. All the lighting was flat. She used, you know, and it was like it's funny because I told her now, I'm like, you're lucky you didn't get sued. Because,
Right.
because that's not, there's no way you have no right to produce that, by the way, you know? And it's so funny because now she laughs. She goes, oh my God, I would never do that now. She's like,
Right.
but at the time I didn't know any better. And it was my favorite movie growing up. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's fair. But I always think about that, you know? So speaking of monster movies, I know none of us have seen it yet, and I don't know that I'm curious about the room's feeling. So The Mummy comes out this weekend, the Tom Cruise version. Steve,
I got nothing for
as
this.
the Universal monster guy, how do you feel about this?
Dude. Just stop, man. I mean, just they've been done, and then they've been done again,
Yeah.
and then again. I mean, it's over.
Right.
Let's move on to other shit.
Once you got The Rock involved in the last series, it was over. It was done.
Well, I mean,
Oh, the Scorpion King
Right.
one and
yeah,
stuff.
but at least
Those are terrible.
those movies are pulp fun.
You know what?
Right.
They're designed
Like-
as like 1930s pulp
No,
fun.
the first two.
Well, that's the Rock's in the second one.
I mean, they're
Kinda.
they're kind of action adventure movies. I don't think of them as like a horror
No,
movie.
not
you
at
know,
all.
They're like that Van Helsing movie was, where it's like, this is designed by Michael Bay to be consumed for
Right,
idiots.
yeah. But their whole Universal's plan is to do this like dark wave of taking these old titles back and making new movies, and this is supposed to be the launch ship of it. And,
No chance.
I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to fucking sink like a
Well, the
rock.
reviews so far are terrible.
I've already read terrible reviews
like
on it. And I'll
31%
tell you
on
what,
Rotten
man.
Tomatoes, man.
Fucking normally, dude. Tom Cruise is pretty used to being in hit movies.
Yeah.
And he is pretty much. Most of his movies have been a hit.
This is gonna
For
tank.
30 fucking years.
This is gonna-
Well, they said this is the worst Tom Hanks movie.
Tom Cruise
movie since I can't even think of like what
Legend.
No, it was.
I know his
it was
eyes
terrible.
wide open or wide
No, it
shut
was
was
before that.
pretty not.
Did you see that
taken-
movie?
I tried, man, and I was like, this is like some sort of weird drug-induced fucking like
It was
like
just a chance for them to
student
be
film movie. Like I'm just not high enough to fucking get this.
It was
guess.
like
I just
pretty
don't
people
care.
having a threesome,
That's fucking. I just wasn't getting it. I just didn't care.
Yeah, this whole dark universe thing that they're trying to make, like they're desperate to have their own Marvel universe with the monsters, and this is the second time we've heard this. You realize that?
Well,
because they're Dracula Untold, or the one
Yeah,
with Luke Evans was supposed to
right.
be like the launching point for their shared movie universe, and they were
Yeah.
like, well, that tanked, so now this is the launching point for
Right.
our
We got
shared
Tom
movie.
Cruise for this one.
Yeah, right.
Still, nobody gives a shit. I don't know. Once again, you got another CGI nightmare fucking of a movie. Tons of it. Not really a great story. Let's just pretty it up.
And it's funny because Chris and I were talking about
Oh,
this.
and the mummy's a woman now. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, but
I mean,
at least they picked a good woman. Like, she's the chick from
Oh.
Star Trek Beyond, who was
Yeah.
the alien. Like, I dig the shit out of her in that movie.
Right.
And she was in something else as
and
well.
listen,
this
I'm
season.
not hating because it's a woman. I think that'd be great if they just did something fucking new.
And why does it, like, when are we going to learn that people like a mixture of practical and CG? And unless
Right.
you're CG, unless you're James Cameron
Yeah.
and you're spending $200 million making Avatar, your CG's never going to be good enough. And
Yeah.
this is coming from me, who's like, I'm the guy that's like the CG apologist. But it's like, when did we, like, with that movie, it's like, it's just the previews. I'm all, this is bad CG.
Mm-hmm.
Like, looks like all this looks 10 years old. All of
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not impressed by any of it, you
Right.
know? And it's like, I'm kind of blown away that this was there. I think they just thought they were going to dump Tom Cruise in a movie and have Russell Crowe come in and just call him
There
Dr.
you go.
Jekyll, and we've got a hit.
Yeah.
We're going to shit out gold, guys.
Right.
You know? And it's
Right.
like, there's nothing in that preview that looks scary. It looks like a bad action film,
Yeah.
you know?
It looks like Gods of Egypt.
Yeah.
Just like I don't care. A lot of great special effects that I've seen a million times before.
Yeah.
Look, she's got two pupils. Fuck,
That's so
me.
scary.
Whoa,
It's
man.
unsettling.
Yeah,
Which is funny because on the juxtaposition of that, there's a movie coming out this weekend called They Only Come at Night, or It Only Comes at Night. Have you seen any
Is it a
previews for
porno?
that? No. It's a
don't think
horror
so.
film. It looks fucking great. Like I'm like super excited about going to see this one. But it's basically like there's some sort of apocalypse happening, and there's like this family holed up at this house. And they're like, we don't know they're in like the forest somewhere. And they're like, we don't know what's going on outside, da-da-da-da-da. And so like another family shows up. And so it's a question of like, do we save them? And so they bring them in the house and like, we have only one rule. Like, you know, like there's one door in and out of here. That's it in this house. And, you know, whatever's like infecting the people out there, like, do you know what's happening? They're like, no. And they're like, well, do not go out at night. That's the only, like, that's, you know. And then so one night, like they come up and the door's open to the house. Like but everybody's in the house. So then it becomes like this horror film in this fucking house of whether or not people are infected. And it's like, I'm so in. It looks fantastic.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. So it's like, it's got that, it's like one of those movies. And I've been hearing about this for about a year. It came from like one of the festivals. They bought it. And it's like, I'm intrigued. Like, sign me up, you know?
Yeah.
It's sort of like when the Babadook came out. And it was like about a year lead time on that. And I kept hearing about it. And I finally saw it. I'm like, that was a dope-ass movie. Like, I would see that again, you know? But, this Universal shared universe thing, it's just not going to get off the ground. And they took that picture of all these guys together and like, look at what we're doing. And I'm like, none of this is going to happen.
Yeah.
You're just like the fucking Fox people when they're like, look, we're going to do Gambit.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen with Channing Tatum and the X-Men and Fantastic Four. You know, it's like, stop. Everybody needs, like, they all need to stop trying to be Marvel at this point.
Right.
You know? Right. I mean, I think even DC has, like, starting to, like, the Warner Brothers people, like, they're going movie by movie now.
Yeah.
They've pretty much said that Justice League and Aquaman are the only two that are guaranteed to be made at this point. You know, Wonder Woman has done great, which none of us has seen yet, so we're not talking about Wonder Woman yet.
Right.
It's on all of our lists.
Yeah.
We just haven't had a chance, you know. But
you know why? Because it's a female lead.
Oh, is that why?
None of us want to see it. Doesn't have much you guys in it.
There's just been a lot of movies that I've already wanted to see, and so I think what we got to do, though, we'll get there probably on our next podcast. By that time, we'll have all seen
I'm hoping
it.
actually to see it maybe tomorrow night.
We're supposed to go Saturday, so like that's our plan to go at Saturday evening. But all right, guys, I think what we're going to do is, why don't we just take a break? Why don't we stop, and we're going to put a pin in this one. I think we got a lot more to talk about. We got at least another episode's worth, and we don't want to punish everybody with 2 hours of straight podcasting. So what we'll do is we're going to finish this one up right here. Going to thank you guys for listening to the show, and we hope you guys are having a nerd life crisis. Music for the Nerdlife Crisis podcast is provided by Big Papa and the TCB. All music available at bptcb.com or at iTunes. The Nerdlife Crisis is recorded at the Inland Blue Studios. Make sure to subscribe to the Nerdlife Crisis at iTunes and like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Nerdlife Crisis.